And we're back, and we are working on the Kraton 4S. Sorry if it's a little noisy out here. We live on a very busy street, but I am going to do a cleaning on the Kraton 4S today. This truck needs some serious care, needs put back together. I have pilfered a few parts off of it to feed other trucks, and also the last time I ran it was in really muddy and snowy conditions, and it really rusted it up, got it extremely dirty. Bummed out about the rust on the turnbuckles and screws, etc. But we'll address that later. We're going to get it clean to begin with. You can see inside all the wheels are covered in mud, covered in tons of dust. Should wash off pretty easy. We're going to use the hose to start with. You can see I pulled all the electronics out already, which is really easy on this truck. It's 5 screws for the front and 1 screw to remove the whole motor mount and everything, which is really nice. Then I can get in there and blow the gear out because it does get a little bit of dust collected inside there. I'll show you that later. I went through and pre-oiled, before I hose it down with water, pre-oiled all of the outside bearings. So I went through and put really thin racing oil that's for bearings, so it'll get in there, so to get down inside the bearings easy. And pre-oiled everything, let them sit for a while, turned them, got everything stirred up. That way when I wash it, the water will get repelled out of there instead of go right into the bearings. Because the rear hub carrier had a bearing seize up in it from running it in the snow and the mud last time. So that was just kind of preventative to keep the bearings fresh. And after it's all washed up and cleaned, we will re-oil everything again and make sure it's good, not rusted up. The only thing I didn't get is I don't have a new wing, but I'll have one on order. Down with water to get the initial layer of mud off. It's usually okay to do this as long as you strip out any sensitive electronics. I mean, these electronics are supposedly waterproof, but I don't dare take the chance. And it's easier to get the chassis really cleaned out if all that stuff's out of the way. And then I can just dry brush all the electronics in electronics tray. Looks like it could use a new chassis, but I'm gonna wait on the chassis swap for a little while. I'm gonna wait till a little bit later, see if the chassis gets any worse. You can see we got a crack there, and then a puncture hole over here from a rock in the bottom. All right, we've got everything pre-hosed off, and a lot of the dirt did come off pretty good. I'm gonna go over it, and we're just gonna use a little dish soap, sprinkle around, just kind of get everything. This is gonna help with any of the hidden spots, make it look a little cleaner. You don't want to use too much, and you definitely don't want the Dawn to get down into the bearings because it removes grease. But if it's just the suds, it'll be fine. Just make sure you pre-oil and everything after. If you're asking why I'm doing a cleaning video, this was the only video I had going today. I wanted to work on this, and this is what we're doing. It'll be too hard to scrub and film. I got a brush like this so I can get in all around all the suspension arms, scrub it up real good and give it a nice rinse, and then we're gonna let it sit in the sun while I mow the lawn. And once it gets dry, we're gonna start with re-oiling all the bearings first of all, let them sit and soak. Anyway, let's get to scrubbing. Okay, we got it all washed. We've let it drip dry for a while. We're gonna give it a little blast of some compressed air. This will help dry it off a lot faster and get the water from sitting in places you don't want it. Now you only want to wash your car in this condition if it's extreme. So like you really went and sunk it in the mud, it was submerged, completely covered in cake. In most cases the dirt will just blow off with an air compressor, but this was too caked on, and this is what this car really needed, was a nice cleanup. Like I said earlier in the video, it is one of my favorite cars right now that I have. I love the way it performs and everything. It does need a few little upgrades here and there, but overall, very good truck. Really like it, and I needed to clean it up so I can love it some more and take it out for a bash. It's so hot, we don't have rain, we don't plan on getting it muddy anytime soon. The only thing that's really disappointing is the rusted turnbuckles, so on all the screw heads, which happens when you run them in the conditions. So I can either replace the turnbuckles, you know, they're not very expensive. If I want to go that far, haven't decided yet. Probably going to look for RC screws or Team K&K, some other kind of stainless steel screw kit for this. That way we don't have to worry about the screws rusting out again. Now we just need to put this thing back together. Okay, so we got everything all cleaned and dried up. We got to put the drive shaft back in. We have to replace the rear hub. This bearing right here is locked up, so we have a replacement bearing. Even though they're rubber sealed, they definitely do get water in them pretty easy, so it doesn't matter that they're rubber sealed, because it doesn't seem to keep the water out at all. I already went through, after blowing everything off with the air compressor, and I used this 1-Up bearing oil, went through and lubed everything, tilted on its side, let it soak for a while, so everything's all all lubed up. I even did the out drives on the center shaft, so everything should be good. After you wash something with water like I did and scrubbed it down as good as you can, you should probably, over the next day or so, at least the first 24 hours, keep going through and moving everything. Don't let those bearings lock up. Get the lube circulating inside of them, and then you'll be good to go. You won't have any ruined bearings. Finally broke out the stand that I haven't used in a while. It's one of my favorite RC tools that I have for working on these bigger vehicles, and for some reason it's been sitting to the side and I keep not getting it out. These bearings are a bear to get off of here. I had to do some work on another person's Kraton, which is kind of why one of my rear hub is why I have to replace my rear hub. I give them my rear hub off of this. These things get locked on there good, so the only way to get them loose is to take a screwdriver, carefully just wiggle it between the flare of the axle and the bearing. Okay, we got it off. That was a fight to get that off. You can see, look, I think this seal just fell out, and that's why they don't last very long on the moisture. Okay, we got that on there. We'll open up our new set of rear hubs. Just get these installed real quick and get this out of the way. And if anybody's curious about this stand, I've talked about it before, but it's been a while since I've used it. This is the Ernst, what is it called? The Ernst Extreme Pit Stand, or Extreme something like that. And I love this thing, especially for the little bit bigger cars. It holds a 6S, totally adjustable to hold all kinds of different cars. Okay, so the rear is put back together. You can see the shock shaft is bent. So we're going to save, normally I would just swap it out, but because I don't want to do both shocks, we're going to save this shock oil. So if you have this tool here, this comes with your Arrma 4S, and I think the newer 3S's come with the same tool. Has a wrench, 17mm wrench on one end, and some other tools, but these ones right here are for your shocks. The shock bottoms. I think that's the 10th scale 3S, and this is the 4S size. I believe. Yeah, so that just fits. You can see this bottom end cap just slides right in there, and then you can unscrew the bottom off. Basically, if you don't have that tool, you're not getting these shocks apart, because I did try once, and all I did was kind of mar up the edges, so I definitely need that. Now we can get the shaft out, because what this will go in without removing that. Just twist it like that. Sometimes this is not very fun to line up. That I will say. I don't know if you just heard the click, but we got it in. It takes a little bit of turning the axles and getting it to line up just perfectly correct. Now that that's snapped in, we can install this piece. The modular design is pretty cool. It is kind of a bugger to get the motor pod in, but after you've done it one or two times, you kind of figure it out. We're just gonna put the drive shaft in now. This drive shaft is really beat up, but still together. See, it's been chewed up by the rocks pretty good. Don't forget to, I didn't forget, we already lubed up this center bearing, and alright, there's that. Just a little bench video on cleaning the car, little maintenance, get it put back together. Now it feels all fresh to me again. Not brand new, but it's ready to use. We're ready to take it out and rip. I'm excited to get this thing back out. Everything's put back together. Everything seems to be nice and smooth, no more dragging bearings. So please like, subscribe, and share. Let me know how you guys like the Kraton 4S. I absolutely love this truck. Way better than I like the 6S Kraton. Just because I like the lightweight maneuverability of this truck. It does need an upgraded servo, but other than that, it's a total blast. Thanks for watching.